they would have. Quote, that Trump is doing a state party convention makes sense. Hey, Heye. Hey, yeah, hi, I don't know. Said, quote, it's a controlled environment and doesn't risk the empty seats he could have at a rally. No more football stadiums. Ooh. As if that's an indicator. I mean, Biden had, what, parking lot full of a smattering of cars?
Yeah, I think he got up to like 12 people once.
Yeah, pretty good. But Trump will soon be trying to hold those large rallies again. He's expected to hit the road with 2 rallies reportedly in the next month, with more to come later this summer in an effort to boost both allies and challengers to Republican incumbents who have spoken out against him. Some of those include Georgia Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger, who Trump thought should have done more to help him win the state he lost in the presidential election, and Ohio Rep. Anthony Gonzalez, who voted for Trump's impeachment. These events are ostensibly about others, but in the past, they have seemed to always come back to Trump. Feeling constrained by the office and Washington, these rallies became almost therapeutic for the 45th president. He would feed off the friendly crowds, re-energize, and dig in the harder line culture war messages. You know, at least they're referencing him as like former president or, President Trump. They're not like just saying Mr. Trump or Mr. Orange Man or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a long article. I don't know if
I think we get the point. They're trying to frame Trump's recent participation in public life, which he did disappear for quite a while. I mean, he basically disappeared from February until maybe a couple weeks ago and wasn't making any public appearances. He kind of did his little blog for a second. He kind of, had some, he doesn't have social media. He wasn't speaking or anything. And now he's kind of started coming out and showing his face. And they are just craving his attention so much. And the only boogeyman that they have to sort of overlay on Trump is, he's going to run for president again. He's going to do it. What if he runs for president again? And there you go. And that's what gets the ratings. That's what sells the ads. That's what gets people all obsessed with checking NPR. And, it's more than anything, it's a money play for these outlets because it's mostly just conjecture about what does it mean? What does it mean? He's such a liar. He's going to try to run again. Be afraid. Be very afraid and subscribe to our app.
I can't wait to hear more from the Orange Man, and it's just more content for us to dig into.
Yeah,
in the meantime, Israel.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very interesting. After all the hullabaloo going around in Israel, again, just a review. We reported on Israel launching their biggest military exercise they've ever done, and they got the military mobilized. They got all this backup soldiers, the reserve soldiers, activated. Everybody was all suited up. Then coincidentally, Hamas attacked at just the right time for a full military mobilization against Gaza. Then we had a few weeks there of the Gaza conflict. And now we've got some more shenanigans going on. This is at the Washington Post. Vote on new Israeli government to be held in coming week.
Zionist pig!
Israel's parliament speaker said Monday that a vote to approve a new government that would end Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year rule will be held in the coming week, without setting a precise date. The announcement by Yariv Levin, a close Netanyahu ally, leaves time for the Prime Minister's efforts to try to peel away supporters from the fragile coalition arrayed against him, which consists of 8 parties and has only a narrow majority in Israel's 120-member Knesset, or parliament. Netanyahu's supporters have launched a blistering campaign against his opponents, including death threats and raucous protests outside their homes.
Release the death threats.
That has forced
Bibi's on his phone telling his people.
But okay, keep in mind here, we got this, keep an eye on these parallels, because Netanyahu's supporters have launched a blistering campaign against his opponents, including death threats and raucous protests outside their homes that has forced the Knesset to beef up their security details. Does this kind of feel a little bit January 6th-y? Netanyahu has accused his erstwhile right-wing allies of betrayal for allying with leftists in a small Arab party that he had also courted. The so-called Change Coalition appears to be holding together despite the attacks and its ideological differences. Naftali Bennett, an ultra-nationalist former Netanyahu ally, would serve as prime minister for 2 years, followed by the centrist Yair Lapid. Quote, "This government is being formed because it's the majority," Lapid said Monday, insisting that it would serve all Israelis and be based on trust and decency, on goodwill. Quote, "These past few days proved how much we need change. If the leadership uses violence and incitement against Knesset members, against their children, against the very essence of democratic process, then we need to change," Lapid said. Israel held 4 elections in less than 2 years, the most recent in March. Each time, voters were deeply polarized over whether Netanyahu should remain in office while on trial for corruption. An emergency government formed last year to address the coronavirus pandemic was mired in political infighting and collapsed in December. Netanyahu tried and failed to form a government after the March elections before the mandate was given to Lapid. The political transition, which could yet be derailed, comes amid heightened tensions following weeks of clashes between Palestinian protesters and Israeli police in Jerusalem that ignited a wave of ethnic violence in Israeli cities and triggered an 11-day Gaza war. So if you look at the timeline of this, it's very fascinating, because they had the election in March, and just a couple of months later was the military movement, the military exercise, followed by the 11-day war. And now immediately afterwards, it's basically a political coup, not a military coup, mind you, but a political coup against Netanyahu by far right wing people. This is not like, you got to remember, this is not American politics. This is Israeli politics, where we've got a right wing majority moving against Netanyahu, which is interesting as Americans, because we kind of consider Netanyahu as sort of a conservative ally of Republicans, is not just because of how well he and Trump got along, but also how much he and Biden are sort of politely disagreeing with each other. So, it's a little bit of a twisty turvy thing to understand in context of American politics, but this is a pretty big move. I mean, Bibi might be in trouble, Gons.
Yeah, it seems like he's been able to avoid past attempts to get him out of there, and he just kind of sticks around. It'll be interesting to see how this plays out, but I mean, shakeup was inevitable. Hold on. Am I missing something? What has to happen for this to go through? Is there like
I think there's just a vote. There's a vote in their Senate, their version of the Senate
parliament thing.
Yeah. And so they do not have just the 2-party system. Imagine that.
Yeah.
So they've got many parties, and it sounds like a majority of these parties have band together to get rid of Netanyahu.
8 of them.
Yes. Who hold a very slight majority. So yeah, as long as nobody wavers and everybody holds the line, this might be Netanyahu's last months as the leader of Israel.
I think he's going to pull a Newsom and do some favors and backdoor deals.
Well, and he's kind of notorious in certain circles for being that kind of guy, having sort of the backhanded ability to change people's minds, if you know what I mean.
Well,
and he's been the leader for 12 years, and you look at the example around the world of leaders who have been in charge for that, those types of lengths of time. you don't stay in power that long by taking it easy.
Yeah. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I until it happens, I'm not really convinced anything's going to happen, even though the majority is being.
It is hard to imagine a big change like this taking place.
There could be a last minute thing on the parliament floor, the Knesset floor there or whatever. Always, I don't know, man. I'm until there's like a denouncing, especially by like rabbis, like head rabbis of Israel and stuff. I don't necessarily see any kind of true change here, but hey, we'll I'm ready for it. I'm ready for some shakeups.
The interesting thing, a part about it is that one of these parties is like an Arab party, specifically like the Palestinian influence within the Senate. And they have, I don't know the details, the nuances of like if they're sort of leading this charge or what. But of course, I can imagine. I mean, let's just get sort of, this isn't even conspiracy. This is just sort of like how politics works. We know this. They wanted to have an election. They knew that there was some sort of military exercise going. The perfect time for Hamas to launch a rocket attack to get Netanyahu to overplay his hand. He's already got the military mobilized. Might as well just send a full-on attack on Gaza so he can gain the then you play up the anti-Zionism in the American media. You mobilize the anti-Zionism, secular Jews around the world. You make Netanyahu look like a bully by bullying poor old Gaza and not pulling back when they ask for a ceasefire. And you kind of make him look like a strong man. And he may be a strong man. I'm not even trying to say that he's innocent. I'm just saying that the conditions were perfect to sort of mobilize situations that would encourage a sort of right-wing takeover is not the right word, but the movement within Israel to try to get Netanyahu out. I mean, it looks like the culmination of a long series of plays by somebody over there.
Could be. There was a change in the Mossad director recently, and in a June 3rd article from the Jerusalem Post, Prime Minister holds working meeting with new Mossad chief Barnea, and it looks like Barnea is this happened in last week.
Yeah.
And Barnea is said to be I thought I saw something here that indicated it took over this guy named Cohen. I don't know, maybe it's interesting because this big change is being spurred on during a change in Mossad leadership too.
Yeah, so which I don't think is a coincidence.
No, that's not. So it could be, it really could be Bibi's last, either it's like his last stand or Bibi's in good with this other guy, this new guy.
You know what they are probably mad about is Netanyahu's phone bill. Making all those calls to Biden, making all those calls to Pfizer. I think they just had it. They've just had it with the
that's the other thing.
Astronomical national phone bill.
In the greater scheme of things, Netanyahu got a majority of the country vaccinated.
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems like a lot of Illuminati points, to reuse against any kind of uprising against him. Maybe he'll unleash some Mossad style blackmail.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll keep an eye on it for everybody. Yeah. This is going to be happening in the next few weeks, so we'll see where it goes. All right. What's next?
Let's see. Oh, well, we have Trump for the jingle.
We will launch a new age.
It's not a Trump story, but it is pretty new age. This is SputnikNews.com, your favorite Russian propaganda. So woke, it reaches the stars. U.S. Army offers zodiac horoscope for their recruits.
Are you even woke?
Good. You know, you got to do that because everybody knows